Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to install WordPress. The first thing you want to do is download the latest version of WordPress from their website. So you want to go to wordpress.org and click on the download WordPress button in the upper right corner. I'm going to recommend that you download the tar.gz file, which is a specialized archive file works great on Linux servers. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to download it. Now I've already done this, so you're going to find a place, probably your desktop, to download it to, and it'll take just a couple minutes. I've already done that, so I'm going to proceed with the rest of the install. It's about a 4.5 megabyte file, so it shouldn't take too long to download. Alright, the next thing we need to do once we've downloaded the latest version of WordPress is go over to our cPanel. This video specifically is giving you instructions on how to install using cPanel. Hopefully you have web hosting that includes a cPanel. If you don't, I'm going to recommend you go out and change your web host, because cPanel is the best way to monitor and to manage your web server account. So I encourage you to use an account that has that. Come in here, and I'm in the home page of cPanel. I'm going to find File Manager and click on that. When I do, opens a window like this. Over here on the left side, you're going to want to make sure you're in your public HTML folder. So you'll find that in the window. Double click that. Once you're in there, you should see a folder or directory for every domain that you currently have on your web server. I'm going to be installing into this particular domain, so I'm going to double click on that folder. If it's just been set up, it's probably empty except for a CGI bin folder. And this is where I want, right here in the root of the directory, is where I want to upload WordPress. Really simply, I'll come over and click on the upload button here, and I'm allowed to go and choose a file. Again, I had downloaded this to my desktop, so I just need to find the WordPress 3.7.1 tar file, and I'm going to go ahead and say open. This will take a moment to upload, so once that's done, I'll come back. Alright, it has finished uploading the file. I'm going to click here to go back to my file manager window, and you'll see now I have a zipped or gzipped file. Alright, so what I need to do next is to extract or uncompress it. So with that file selected, I'm going to extract. You can go ahead and just click Extract Files, and it'll do it real quickly. You close that window. If you want to refresh or reload your window now, you'll see that it has created a folder called WordPress in the root directory of your domain. Now, this works fine if you want to leave your WordPress installation in a subdirectory. In this case, WordPress. If you want to, for example, create your blog in a folder called blog, all you have to do is change the word WordPress right here to blog, and then the directory for your WordPress installation would be different, would be blog. I don't want to do that. I want my WordPress installation to be in the root of my domain name folder. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to double click here, and I'm simply going to select all. So I select the very first item in the list and come down, hold shift, and select the very last. And then over on the left, I'm going to expand all my directories. I'm going into the current directory, okay, which is this domain name here. And I'm just going to take everything over here, and I'm going to click and drag it into the root of the domain name, which would be this one here. Okay, so doing that, let's come over and let go. Okay, now I see that the directory I'm currently in, that WordPress one, is now empty. That's what I wanted. Go up one level. And now, again, I'm in the root of the domain name. You'll see here, not only do I have that CGI bin folder, but I'll have several other WP folders. And I have all the other files that are in the root of the directory. Perfect. I can come in now and take that one and just delete it because there's nothing in it any longer. That WordPress folder is now empty. Okay. And it's also a good idea to take the zip file and delete that as well. You don't need it any longer. Alright, now here's my very important file. It's the WP config sample. First thing I need to do is I need to rename that so that it is doesn't have the word sample at the end any longer. So I'm just going to take that and get rid of, so it should be called wp-config.php. Rename that file. And now we see that that one is in there, and that's the one I'm going to edit in a few minutes. Okay, but before we do that, I need to have a database name, database username, and database password to use with my WordPress installation. So let's go back to cPanel, go down a little bit, and you'll see MySQL database option. I'm going to click on that. You need to create a new database. Okay. So I'm going to create a database, give it a name, and click on Create Database. Really quickly it does that, so I go back. Okay. Now I'm going to go down a little further. I need to add a new user. So I'm going to add a unique user just for this particular database. Okay. And the thing about that is this particular name can only be no longer than 7 characters, so you'll have to think of a short name that you want to use. Okay. And here's where you have to create a password for that particular user. So I always recommend using the password generator. It creates a very strong password that is difficult to break, so I would use that, copy it. And in a moment here, I'm going to show you, I like to just store my passwords in a notepad file that I can easily access. So I've placed that there. And create the user. Okay, really quickly, that's been created. Okay, now one more step involved in the password and in the database creation. I need to now attach that user to that database. So I just created a user here, okay, and I want to attach it to a database. So I find that in the list. Now I have a whole lot more of these than you probably do, and I'm going to go ahead and add this user to this database. Click Add. When you do that, another window opens and it asks what kind of privileges you want to give that user on that database. I encourage you to just use all privileges. Click on Make Changes, and you're done. Okay, next you're going to want to go and make sure that here in your list of current databases you can find your database that you're using. You want to make sure you copy the name of the database. Again, I'm going to just make quick note of it. And the name of the database user, which just happens in my case to be the same. Not always necessarily the best idea to use the user and the database name the same. Important that you know what the names are because you're going to use them in a moment and put them into your WP config file. One thing to note, in many shared hosting environments, as you've noticed, there's been about a 7-letter prefix added to the beginning of both the name of the database and the name of the user. That is to make sure that you have a unique name on a shared hosting environment. And so when you create a database, as I did up here, you're always going to find that that name or that word prefixed before the name of the database or user that you give. And that is part of the database name, so you have to include that that particular word or phrase at the beginning of all of your database names, usernames, etc. in the config file, including the underscore. Okay. So now what we're going to do is go back into our cPanel file manager, looking for the WP config file what we just renamed, and we're going to edit it. So right up here at the top you see a code editor button. I'm going to click on that and it'll actually open up this PHP file in the editor. And right here you see near the beginning of the file you see a couple fields that can be edited. The name of the database user, and password. That's where you're going to put that information. So this is where your file that you just saved comes in really handy. Okay, the name of the database. I think you get the idea. I'll come back in a minute when I've got that fixed. Okay, we're back in. We've gone ahead and pasted in those values here. Note that you leave the single quotes around that. It's very important. And your file should look something like that. You're not going to change localhost or any of these other values. Just leave them the way they are. Okay, once you've done that, click on Save Changes and close. It's as simple as that. Now all you have to do once you've made those changes, the database is set up, you've got a database user, and you've edited WP config, you simply go back to the domain in a browser that you have set up on your server and you click refresh, and just like that it starts to install the WordPress installation. And you only have to fill in a few fields here. Give the site a name, create a username. I encourage you to not use admin. Find something else. Put in a password that you want to use, and click on Install WordPress. Okay. Just like that, WordPress has been installed, and that's how quick it can happen. click on the login button, log in using the password that you just created. And again, that's the password you just created, not the password to the database or anything like that. Just like that, now I am in to the dashboard of my new installation of WordPress. If I come up here, click on Visit the Site, we'll see that the default 2013 theme has been installed and the website is live. All right, that's how you install WordPress on a web host using cPanel. Thanks for watching.